Hey everybody, it's Bust with Battles with Bust number 513, and today we're doing battle with Riven Varus in Standard. And so for the daily followers, before we dive into Riven Varus, the plan over the course of the next couple of weeks is just to play Standard. Depending on what turns up in the gauntlet, we might get a few of those in each week, but I don't see any real reason to jump back into Eternal, as it's not going to be a relevant format for another 3 months. And so Standard it will be. I don't have a way to tell what's coming up in terms of Gauntlet. It looks like the Gauntlet schedule hasn't been updated since the beginning of November. At the end of October, it was free build. I will not play free build. I don't enjoy that format. And so if the end of November format is free build, we won't play it. We'll just play Standard. But they typically switch over to Singleton or switch over to unlimited champions or whatever the format is, to where you can play any number of champions towards the end. And so we may have one of those. We'll get a few videos in. But otherwise, we'll still be here. We'll still be making the videos, just coming back into the standard format. And so with Riven Varus, as we are out here looking for some content to make, some things to scrounge about before the Shadow Isles set comes out here in a couple of weeks, this was a recommendation, a deck brew thing from a viewer, if you will. And if you have a deck list you would like me to kind of circle around and play with and make a video on, be sure to let me know. I'll try to make my way there. But to jump into this actual deck, the one we're playing today, Riven Varus, a very interesting set of champions, and they really synergize well in two separate ways. First and foremost, they both have a very similar game-ending win condition, right? They both get absolutely gigantic attack powers, they have Overwhelm, and they tend to deliver big OTK strikes to end the game, and so not uncommon to attack with a 12, 14 power overwhelming Varus or an 8 to 10 power overwhelming Riven. Just fantastic ways to take that half to whole chunk out of the opponent's life total. But the synergies don't just stop there. They do interact quite favorably together, with Riven generating the Reforged Fragments. The Reforged Fragments then you cast on your units, which you can use to level up your Varus. Varus needs you to cast 7 separate spells or do 7 separate equips onto your units to get him leveled up. You typically don't want to be able to just play single spell after single spell after single spell. You run out of stuff to do, so you're not really able to cast a Momentous Choice and then cast a Furious Wielder and then cast an Expansion's Protection. By the time you've actually cast 7 spells and got your Varus to flip, you're not going to have anything left to fight for that OTK. But that's where the Strength and Riven and the Reforged package comes in. If you play a Blade Squire, you have your card on board, but you generate a fragment. You play your Rune Squire, you have this interactive challenger on board, you generate a fragment. And so as we're playing cards and just generating other spells along the way, that's a very valid way to come in and get our Varus to level up, because we're not spending physical cards to do it, right? We're just spending generated cards to get those targets, to get him leveled. And so they have a very interesting collection of synergies together. They work together quite nicely. And so pushing forward from that, we do have the new addition out of the variety patch here in the Fates Voyage Onward and the Enraged Fire Spitter, another card that plays fantastically into this idea of having the big high-powered attacker trying to OTK its way through the end of the game. Now, the Enraged Fire Splitter does take a little bit of work. You need to find a way to get the dragon having Overwhelmed to actually get that big high damage strike in, which queue up the Riven. Riven generating those Overwhelm fragments gives us a fantastic way to do this. If you've been following along with the channel, I like the Fire Spitter. I think this is a fantastic card. I do not like playing the card Might. The card Might is just so super all in that as the format develops to be accounting for these high-powered attack overwhelm type strategies, they start to include vengeances and flash freezes and the like. Having your day tied into Might as a win condition just doesn't really fly anymore. And so having these kind of separate ways with the rune fragments to generate Overwhelm, which aren't super all in, is something that I can really get behind. And so the fragments are just all around quite versatile in what they can do, whether or not that's putting Overwhelm on a Kato, putting Overwhelm on a Fire Spitter, putting an Overwhelm on a Riven. It's not just like, oops, I played my Might, I hope I win the game. You have a little bit more agency in what you're able to do. Last but not least, a few other things to call out with this deck. I have grown quite fond of the Darkened Ballista in our practice games. In the practice games I had going on earlier today, I would say that half of them were won with the Naganika of Zareta and not necessarily one with Riven or Varus. This gigantic 5/13 overwhelm, fight a unit at the end of the turn kind of thing is just something the format doesn't feel well equipped to deal with. And I've been quite happy, actually including the Ballistas, to have access to this late game card to win outside of the typical OTKs. Otherwise, the kind of pain points with this deck, the place that you're going to really find trouble and find struggles with, are getting the equipped units on the board, as the big part of the Varus package over here to the right with all of the cultist spells need us to get an equipped unit down to cheapen up the cards or get the double casts out of the Violent Discord. The equipment within this faction just aren't very good, right? You typically, within your Varus decks, play him with something like Jax, to where you just get access to all of the weapon masters, or you play him with action, to where the Dark and Bloodletters is quite good, but then you also have access to Swinging Glaive. Just the equipment within Noxus isn't very good. It's just the Ballista, which is fine, but I don't like playing Overwhelm Hammers. And then the Improvise unit isn't very good as well. Ionian Hookmaster was straight bonkers, a few months ago when it was released and actually had 1 power and 1 health. Now that it's a smaller unit, it gets the job done. You're not excited to get the Hookmaster on the board, but it's still a good weapon master, and since it does what you need it to do, although it doesn't come down as a 3/1 quick attacker on turn 2 that dies and leaves the quick attack unit behind. But nonetheless, that's the deck. That's what we're doing battle with today. I checked in on the pay-to-win price, and we're all paid up. Everything's looking good in that sense. And so, let's go ahead, jump on into battle, see if we can't find ourselves some good games. I saw the Runeterra Open thing pop up. I was like just clicking around on stuff today, and it was like, oh, by the way, you can still join the event. And I was like, I only got 7 wins. I didn't get 8. There's no way. But I still went and joined the wait list. I was like, oh, maybe. I don't know. I've been hearing the rumors that 8-3 is often good enough to make the top cut now. I was like, I can't imagine 7-3 ever gets there. But, maybe everybody's out there watching football instead of signing up for the event, and and we squeak in there where we don't quite deserve it. All right, moving forward, though, up against the Poro King and Targon. Reasonable enough start with the Hookmaster and the Ballista. We don't have to keep both, right, given that, we really only need 1 equipment. But we'll keep both units here. That's still a pretty effective, with the Darkened Ballista just getting to put it on a Riven or on a Challenger or something. And so as this starts, let's just... This is tough. I don't think we want to lead off with the Bakai here. It's just too easy for opponent to have a 1-mana Poro, and then we don't really want it, right? I would rather have the Ballista put over on the Lunari Cultist or put on Riven or something. I just don't want to play the Bakai and then him have the Poro and then be like, oh, we're not doing anything now, huh? All right, well, looks like we're going to be a little bit too slow to get in front of the Poro bot, but we'll still have some pretty meaty units on this next turn between the Cultist with the Ballista and then the 3/4 Riven. So let's see how it goes. I mean, if he has the Poro snack next turn to grow the Poro bot, that's going to be a real bummer for us. But if he doesn't have... if he doesn't have the spell, then it's just kind of off to the races.
I'm ready to play.
Yumi. Yumi's kind of a different story. All right, that's too much. We're just going to have to come in and develop a big Riven. Ideally, we'd find another Reforge card so we could get her flipped on this next attack. It doesn't look like that's going to happen. So go ahead and block, start chipping away at the health. I don't want to have to send like a 5,000 attack Riven into this Poro bot just to try and fight the flip. Now with this upcoming turn, like I don't think we need to take Varus. I'm kind of interested in the Violent Discord since we can probably play an Expanse's Protection. The scary thing with Expanse's Protection is most of the cards we care about out of the Targon deck are going to be burst speed, and I'm not quite ready to play a preemptive protective spell like that. But getting the double burn here does give us a shot to take this Poro bot off the board. Let's just see what turns up. We're not going to overdraw, are we? No, we're at 8 of 10. We'll get our natural draw and we'll get our Riven fragment. We don't want to burn away a card. So ideally, we'll be hitting the Overwhelm fragment next turn, right? We're going to put the Ballista onto Riven. We'll get the two things, because as we come in and like have to quick attack this Riven, if he you can just block with the Plucky Poro at that point. That's pretty unideal, right? I don't really want to just be trading a quick attack fragment for one of these little dum-dums. Ooh, this is gonna be a Sunburst. I'm on board with that. That's the kind of thing we want to be hitting with the Expanse's Protection. And the Hush. Yeah. It wasn't meant to be, Riven. It wasn't meant to be. Alright, well, who turns up here? The fearsome one is actually pretty decent. It does let us attack past these one healthers. Should be obvious we're up to shenanigans trying to send our Hookmaster into the patched Poro bot. I assume he'll probably just take this damage. But, you know, stranger things have happened. And we're still at 8 of 10 cards. We can pass here. Got plenty of stuff to do with this mana as it banks up. Can't block a Brash unit? That's stupid. Maybe we should have dropped some gems first. Okay, we'll just take it. So Hookmaster comes in. I think we're probably going to want the combat reel. We're pretty good at spending mana as far as this deck goes.
Now, where did that one run off to?
We're at 8 of 10, so we can add the Cultist without overdrawing. We can still add in the Ballista. The Violent Discord will get us to the draw on Varus. We should probably just go ahead and take that route. These decks tend to be a struggle for me. I'm not I don't have the brain capacity to typically work these Varus decks, and so expect things to be a little sloppy along the way. I just know how to put Jax on the board and attack with him. This planning 4 turns ahead with Varus doesn't typically work for me. But he's going to be getting a flip here. We have a ton of cards to just slap onto the board. You have to feel like he's pretty safe, right? Opponent has already played. He's already played a Hush and a Sunburst, so he just doesn't have a ton of cards left to really try and attack down the Varus with. So I'm going to take the flip. I'm just going to go ahead and drop the gems onto our fearsome unit. And then I'll attack with our 3/3, our fearsome, and Varus.
In twilight, we deliver their end.
gonna get a mana back as well. So let's go ahead and put a gem onto the Hookmaster. Do we ever just get a kill this turn? It's something to stop and think about. He's probably just gonna have too much blocks to put in front of Varus, right? The card that we're actually worried about here is going to be him hitting with a Poro snack, but I think we can fight through that reasonably. Yeah. Did he already just have it? It's like he had it off the Poro King, right? I just saw this board and was like, you know, it's late enough in the game to where he probably just already has it, so I wasn't too worried about the one coming. It looked like that was just face up, though. I might have been too focused on other things. This is an OTK if he doesn't block the Hookmaster, right? We can get +4 attack onto Varus. He still has +2 left on the Darkened Bow, and we have +2 in hand with the Momentous Choice. The Fearsome's turning out to be pretty nasty, huh? Says, I don't want to lose my Poro King. I don't want to lose that. Cool. All right, up to 19. GG. On to the next one. Good stuff. Good stuff. But you see how we got that, how we got that Varus to flip right. That's what I was trying to describe at the beginning in terms of how we can actually get him flipped and get him used. We played 2 fragments from Riven, and then we played 4 gems, and that was 6 of the cards that we used to get our Varus to flip in that game. Good stuff. Good stuff. Nice little synergies. I was seeing that game kind of like piece itself together, and I was like, ooh, this might be one of these games to where we just drop the Naganika and it fights the Poro King, and things are just done from there. Didn't quite happen that way, but I saw it. I had a vision. All right, up next, Aurelion Sol Ramp. What do we got? The Riven seem quite good in this match. I'm curious if we want to keep 2 though, right? Their early game removal is all just like avalanches, and so having a 4 health early game play feels pretty good. But it's kind of off curve, or I'm sorry, it's not off curve. It's hard to do anything with the second one, right? I feel like he has a pretty challenging time just killing the first one. I'm not entirely certain what this deck even plays. You know, it's going to have the 6 ramp cards in it. It's going to have War Mother's Call. It's probably got like 6 units in it and 5 champions or so. But then I think it's just a bunch of flash freezes. And so I feel like the only way that he can really kind of contest our Riven is going to be with Avalanche. I'm going to go ahead and lead in with the Hookmaster. We could take the Pot of Pain. That does give us the health to fight through a lot of stuff, but I mean the Scout Hook is it has a lot of potential to just finish these. So we still have our attack token for our Riven.
When will I find peace?
I think this is okay. He has a bunch of mana, so he can. Oh, so we're just safe. We're in the clear, right? He blocks Riven. We get the Momentous Choice to take down the Youngling. Nice. Very surprising he didn't block the Hookmaster. He would have just immediately healed the damage right back. Maybe he didn't want the. Maybe he didn't want it leaving our unit on board. So now the thing that sucks, we don't have a lot in terms of like boosting stats, right? We can Momentous Choice, but this is a pretty big wall of units to be fighting through. I I think we just want to level up our Riven.
To serve the greater good.
Probably should have played the Blade Squire first. I don't think he actually attacks into it, right? He's not. If he's playing so defensive that he's not blocking our Hookmaster with the Youngling, I don't think that he's going to risk it otherwise. Oh, I didn't realize the Scout attack put an extra fragment in hand, so we missed out on one on the last turn. The things you learn. Or when you gain the attack token. Okay. So let's see. Let's go ahead and go for a Riven flip. We want to do quick attack onto Guy. We want to do +2 attack onto Guy. To put Overwhelm onto Riven. Oh, hang on. We're just gonna Riven Sword, aren't we? I don't think the Overwhelm is going to be a relevant one, but was a little sloppy. Now here, the way I'm kind of thinking about this is we're gonna boost the Riven, and she's just gonna get flash frozen. But I don't think that he's gonna have the ways to to get the kill on her next turn. So if he has harsh winds, this kind of sucks, right? That looks like what's about to come in. So he's going to take down the Squire and prevent the Riven. But I don't think he's going to have the ways to take the Riven completely off the board. Just not what this deck is, the opposing deck is good at. Now we can start bringing in the dragons. It would have been nice if we had just a secondary equipment to bounce this Scout Hook. A Violent Discord. How many cards we got? 8? So this Scout attack will get us up to 9. We should... We haven't played anything yet. We don't have... I saw the Violent Discord come up and was like, okay, well now we can just go and get Varus, but we haven't played enough yet. So can we just kill him this turn now? That feels like a very greedy play in the board here. Just like the big bummer for us is we don't have the equipment on one of our big units, and we don't have the kind of third attacker in Varus. I think this is the turn to go for it, though. It's dropping down to 3 mana is pretty greedy. I don't think we have enough mana though. Jeez.
Their purpose and mine is clear.
Fly to them on broken wings. About to reel it in.
It's my time.
Alright, well I think we have to stop here. If we Momentous Choice the Varus, he's gonna go up to 8, right? He'll get 1 from flipping, 2 from the Momentous Choice. He'll go up to 9. I think that's accurate. Still short of the lethal though. We needed 2 more mana.
The arrow of retribution will find its mark.
The arrow of retribution will find its mark. Okay, that's not bad. I'm still a little worried about the next turn. It's like there's not a ton of scary stuff here, right? If he has Buried in Ice, we can still protect with like an Expanse's protection, but I think this is okay. He can't play a War Mother's Call here. He's one short. I guess the bummer for the turn is in these two 8/8s coming on board. Like, we can fight through them fairly handily, but he gets to gain like 1,000,000 mana in the process. I wonder. I forgot about Riven getting boosted last turn. We haven't used her double power thing yet. I wonder if there was a kill for Riven and we just missed it. So how's this gonna work? He's gonna gain like 12 next turn. He's got these dumbass Veiled Protectors on the board. We're gonna have to strike one down. We can't let him gain 12. Can we do 20 next turn? I don't think so. Like, I don't care about the Volibear. We can just fight through that. It's just we just have to deal like a literal 1,000,000 damage.
Grant me your power.
Let's do this. Let's go ahead and add the Cultist.
Our revenge comes first, then your petty
We'll put the Scout Rake onto Riven. This has to be a kill through Riven, I think. Okay, so he goes to 20. Give her +2 attack. Give her a spell shield. This way, if he has the Frostbite, he's going to need multiple things.
For the lost.
We gotta start blasting, right? Where's this at? 16? That's as good as we can do. But we do also have the Furious Protector thing in hand, to where we can say Furious Wielder the Volibear and just come in for the full 16.
gift me new scars.
All right, I'll take it a little slow. I'm gonna save the wielder for the actual combat itself. If something weird happens here, I do like that we can now switch to just boosting Varus. We do have this, also have this sweet option of trying to say Fire Splitter this Veiled Protector, but I don't think that's quite in the cards. Oh, our Riven lives. Our Riven gets to go. All right, well, here's the 18 attack.
What conflict awaits?
I think we're good. He blocks with Volibear. We Furious Wielder him down. I think that's it. Zing. Rip it, roll it, put it in your pipe and smoke it.
At last, a way
GG.
forward.
Nice. Now, the thing that opponent may not have known there, thing you may not have known either, is with Wrath of the Freylord, that's not a circle ability. It's not a skill ability. And the spell shield that we had on Riven is it only cancels skill abilities. So what if you have things like Wrath of the Freylord, if you have the Ice Veil Archer that you typically play in Ash LeBlanc, those will still Frostbite through a spell shield. The spell shield will stay up, but it doesn't stop the ability. And so something to keep in mind as face off against things like this. All right, here I think we have to hang on to the Furious Wielder. Cards like Zed just end us. We don't have great ways to fight through that, and we're very limited in being able to answer a Zed or answer an Ahri. And so I think having the Hook Masters here in the beginning to potentially get a takedown on those is advisable.
Heart and blade, both broken.
I wonder if he ever just passes here. Like, if he has his Zed in hand, and he wants to see us attack with Riven to get the damage on. Interesting. We'll come swinging. But right, see what I mean here. Now that our Riven has 2 health, if he plays Zed, he's able to just attack into this to where we previously had a blocker.
Do not deny me.
That's bullshit. That's some bullshit. I wasn't familiar with what's about to happen to us here. It sucks. We're just gonna get rocked. Well, at least one of the positives here is that the dragon should be pretty good. It does ace both of his champions, and so we'll see if it has the time to get on board. See what happens. We'll attack. I assume he'll put the Urchin in front of the Hookmaster, but then we can still Furious Wielder. This deck doesn't have combat tricks, right? So you gotta get the Zed. Have to make the choice if you want to fight against combat tricks or if you want to fight against Mystic Shots. And I don't know. I guess we picked Mystic Shot here with the Expanse's protection. Didn't have to preload any of these gems that way.
The dark beckons.
Alright, here come the elusives.
Old masks let young eyes see clearly.
I will play my part.
An end to war.
Hook, line, and sucker.
Well, I think this is okay. We're only taking like 2 extra damage by not blocking blocking the kid. And so I think this is fine. Let us keep our cultist up. Still doesn't look good. We really need an overwhelm fragment. Don't have any ways to search them up. The Darken Ballista doesn't quite do it. Maybe we're not dead. Probably. we'll say our status at the moment is probably dead. So let's at least clear out what we can. Try and get a takedown on the kid. Try and get a takedown on the potential elusive. We just got to have something go right. There's such a high percentage chance that we're just dead. He has a million cards in hand. He just needs like 1 elusive and 1 burn spell. We just need something to go right. Yeah, that board looks like it's enough to just kill us. I love the immediate take that people had with the Rusticles card with the trusty Nair, and that You're just out here killing his kids. You're just out here killing his kids. He summons his kids. It's his job to protect them, and then as soon as it comes down on board, everybody's just sending challengers at the kids, sending mystic shots at the kids. Everybody's out here just trying to kill the kids. You know, it's a dark take. I'll give it that. It's a dark take, but there's a bit of truth in the matter. I don't. As they were having their day as the developer, designing the card and talking about it and stuff, I don't think anyone sat there and said, "Hey, you realize as your kids get in combat, people are just out here trying to kill them, huh?" I don't think that was a part of the dev for a day conversation. How do we feel about this? This is one of these games where like we need an equipment, but like we could probably just play Varus on turn 4 and call it enough. I mean, we're up against Karma Sett. There's not going to be a ton of early aggression and early game things that are capable of stopping this Riven. I will go ahead and attack. If he plays Mariam, it shuts down everything we're doing. So we'll leave the Lunari Cultist at home. And then start kicking things off with Riven. I don't think we even want to bother getting the Cultist on board. It's so far away from actually getting these gems. I think having the mana backed up is just going to be a little bit more useful. If we pick up a fragment we want to use in the next turn or something, it's there.
Heart and blade, both broken.
What you got? Overwhelm.
Only revenge will quiet our minds.
I make it my business to know the odds.
A bit of an awkward combat. I think it's okay just to pass. Like, I'm not upset about being in this space to where we have to start protecting Rivens and stuff with from mystic shots with the Expanse's protection, but it feels like we're a touch behind in terms of getting that going. Now with this, how bad is it? How bad is it? We can do this way. We can't take a hit from Sett, but we could put Overwhelm onto somebody. It doesn't matter who. That's target number 1. Target number 2 will be the Furious Wielder. Use that to try and take Sett off of the board. And then if he goes after the Varus, we do have the Expanse's protection. It should be tough for him to do with 3 mana. Tag out's fine. We also get to keep the attack power on our Varus now that he didn't actually strike.
Grant me your power. Let me end our war.
Our revenge comes first.
But he's not going to flip anytime soon, right? He's at 2 of 7. It's going to take a few turns to get to that space. I think we want to be open attacking here, though. It's too bad we don't have the quick attack fragment in hand.
Violence to end violence.
Your wickedness shall not prosper. Away with you.
Okay.
This one's on me.
Is it time?
Ain't no fight I can't win.
It's down to 2 mana again. Is this going to be another tag out? It's unfortunate if it is. We're going after this Sett hard. Going hard. Not a ton that can get out of this. You can't Nopify it. He does have the second tag out. Alright. Okie dokie. So we're losing somebody, right? I would assume it's going to be the Riven that he goes after and not the Varus. If he goes after Varus, great. We have too much Varus as it is. We can easily draw another one. I think the downside for opponent at this point is playing Sett. You only have 2 mana behind. There's not a ton that he can really do after the fact. And here we're fine to just pass, right? Overbanking 4 isn't that bad given what a lot of our cards do in terms of just popping off. And so I suspect he's going to find himself having to play Sett, targeting down the Riven, and then we're going to look to just go big with Kato the Arm. we do have the... thought we had the Overwhelm. Our fragments are all fucked. Oh, we played the Overwhelm fragment on Varus just to get him on board. That makes sense. Makes sense. I could definitely see him passing at this point. Ooh, he goes for Varus. Sweet. That's what you like to see. Alright, so we got Sett off of the board. We got this fresh Varus to add in. I don't think we're gonna get to the lethal. We're gonna be pretty close though, and we do have the protection in hand. I guess it's not unreasonable to think we can't just pop it off having the chains in hand. That's a good aftershock. So where are we at? We need 2 targets to get Varus to flip, and I really want to keep the Expanse's protection back as well. And so that would be 7 mana. We can cast the chains twice, the fragment once, so this would be +2 attack, and then another. The +2 attack gets the flip. And so then this is going to be a +4. So we're going to get +4 off of the spell targets. 5, 6, 7, 8, 12, 13, 14, 15. Seems like we're short. Okay. We'll just go with Kato. The thing that's kind of a bummer for not really like going for it and trying to get it here is like he can just, you know, play Karma next turn, and then with Karma on the board, these spell shields don't do anything, right? If she Mystic shots onto our unit, gets to double up on it. It's not a super good feel. So Varus is going to get removed. Okay. That's pretty painful. No karma, though. That's good. Can't play Sett either. He doesn't have the coins to get back up in terms of mana. Alright, fam. We can pop.
You're looking at Ionia's cooking camp 10 times ready.
There is so much power in us.
Both sun and moon pale in comparison to
Alright, let's see what turns up. I don't really want to lead with the Fire Spitter. I mean, I guess it could be okay. Like, it is quite good to just drop onto this Concussive Palm, and we already have Kato on the board. We're nowhere near lethal at this point. I mean, we can lead with the Unending Wave, but what are we realistically like going to draw that we want at this point? We're like pretty limited in terms of what our spells are. I don't think we can hit enough. Bombs onto Varus. Now we can wave, right?
The past is a burden we must learn to bear.
It was pretty nice for this, though. He didn't have karma or anything here. I don't. Yeah, it's like I don't think we can ever quite get the lethal coming out of this space. So I'm doing this. I'm putting quick attack on Kato. I just have to assume he's going to have a concussive palm. He's going to have a bounce spell or something. He's going to have a way to stop this dragon. And I'm going to let him just take the tail of the dragon block, so the tail of the dragon isn't what gets left over. And then we can just hit with everybody else. Are we just... Ah, we're so close to the lethal. fuck is this card? It's a valid question, right? The fuck is this thing? And the concussive palm. Yeah. So let's protect Riven down here. We're gonna lose the momentous choice anyways. And it seems like we're in an okay spot. This is just like one of these places up against Karma Sett, to where if they draw Sett and he starts popping off, that makes sense. Otherwise, like, Karma specifically needs to have cards like Place Your Bets. So you have Karma on board, you place your bets and get that stuff going. Seems pretty far away from that. I mean, he could still pop, I guess. You can play the coin and then do... I don't know, it doesn't seem possible. We have an ass load of mana. Let's go ahead and play the card draw thing. Oh, it's gonna be Sett. Yeah. Yeah. That was my concern. I mean, he's due, right? You can't get too mad about it at this stage. He's due for something big. So I assume he's going to Sett into Varus and then Showstopper onto the Naganika. I mean, he doesn't have to worry about the Naganika too much, but I think at the end of the day, though, we're still going to have the opportunity to have some big overwhelms left over, right? Between having the Fire Spitter and Kato on board. Face
me. Move with purpose.
So interesting with the dragon. I think that we probably just want to save it for later. So what I'm kind of looking at is, like, we're going to play the fragment. We'll just put it on dragon. That's going to flip our Riven, and we're going to get the sword. We can then put the sword onto Riven.
Surrender and there is life. I will live.
Actually, we get more damage Katoing onto Riven, right? The first time you increase my power, grant me that much power, so it gets an extra 2 points of damage. Mess this up. We should have put the bow down as well. I was initially thinking in my head, it's like, well, we can get the bow
There's still much to answer for.
leveled up to like 5, right? And then we can just put the bow down onto Riven and get a big health that way. All right, let's put some big numbers on the board. I think our chances of winning this game are like 5%. Like, we can definitely present enough damage to try and finish the game off, but you know, it's just too easy for him at this point to have the answers. All right, squeeze him. No, 27 overwhelm, run it in. I don't think it's enough, but you know, why not take your shot? So he's got the bounce spell for the dragon, falls to 8. That's gonna do it. GG. GG. That's tough. I feel like a seasoned Varus player. If Grandpa Roji was out here doing battle with Riven Varus in that game, I feel like he could have pointed out a million places that we played it wrong and how we could have won it much earlier. But again, these decks are typically pretty tough for me. All right, though, approaching up to that hour mark, we'll get our final battle in here at Game 5. See what we can do up against Seraphine Janna. I don't think we want to start with the Expanse's protection. They're going to be playing Sunbursts, but they should have a bunch of other just burn spells running around as well. I'm leaning towards just this. Keep the Bakai and the Hookmaster. Try and find a Riven with the Bakai. And then we still have the equip coming out of the Hookmaster. Go Blade Squire. It's a better combatant here. Like, we have a pretty decent curve. We don't have to find Riven here in the early game. It would be nice, but it's not a requirement. All right, Reggie coming in. What do we got? Leaning towards the combat reel. Like, it's a little tempting to pick up something like the amulet or the fearsome thing so that we can just attack through Reggie. But the mana gains are so good on the combat reel. Like, I know we have to replay it and stuff, but whenever it goes right, it goes big. Like, it might even be worth just playing the momentous choice here to keep the combat reel going. I doubt it. Like, so much kind of rides on these dragons, and having the dragon get double Mystic Shot or something doesn't. It seems like, okay, your choices are keep this combat reel on the board and remove a Reggie, or, preserve an OTK through a dragon. You just want to preserve the OTK. So, as far as this goes, I think we want the Violent Discord. We're very close to getting the Varus draw with what we have in hand. And I think that's fine enough to go for. Like, we're not going to play him immediately. We'll play him a few turns from now, but it's nice to just go ahead and pick him up, I think. Our hand doesn't do fuck all at this point anyways, so might as well fight for something, huh? But we can play like pretty much everything off of this unending wave, right? We already have our 2 dragons, so there's only 1 dragon we can't play. We can't play Kato the Arm, but all of the other units at this point we can play. Thinking hard on it, thinking hard. Do it. Do it. There you go. He did it. He did it hard. All right, so the wave, Furious Wielder was a was a shit hit, but it is what it is. It's kind of what we signed up for.
I'm cold, I'm hungry.
So we'll get the Squire on board. I'm gonna just go ahead and Wielder onto Janna. See what happens. I don't know how obvious it is in terms of us, having another removal in hand as we try to take Janna down to 2 health up against our 4 2-power units, and so maybe it doesn't seem like ridiculous shenanigans when we present it this way.
Come on!
She's not flipping. This is the song spinner, so you get the 3 level ups playing the free cards off of it, but shouldn't be enough. Seems scary though. He's got like a million cards in hand. All right, Reg, you're safe.
The past is a burden we must
So I'm
learn
taking
to
this angle. I'm going to go ahead and add in Riven. We'll play the Violent Discord after. That worked out kind of nice. We got the baits out before the before the Discord comes in. But I think I'm kind of okay with this spot of playing a dragon, killing off, the Valor now, and then keeping the momentous choice mana, and then playing another dragon next turn. Like, he's surprisingly close to dead. I don't know how we got him down to 8 with this ragtag crew of 2/1s and 2/2s, but we're really close to the lethal at this point, and the 2 dragons might be enough to do it. this ragtag band of blade squires coming in, doing the work that needs to be done. So what do we even have to worry about out of this deck? Like, I don't know why they play Targon. Yeah, it's not actually a Cosmic Call deck, right? I don't think that that's a thing. Could be, I guess, but that doesn't strike me as valid. So how do we handle this turn? We hit quick attack. And I think we just want to get the second dragon in. Like, I'm a little scared. I don't know what we're supposed to be afraid of, right? He has 10 mana. He can clearly do something obnoxious. I'm not... Like, if we're playing against Karma Sett, like, even when they're playing... We should say Seraphine Sett, right? To where they play, the 40 different cards within the same deck. Like, I have a good inkling of what those cards are going to be. I don't quite know what the Targon is for in this. If it's just Cosmic Call or like the heal cards, like maybe he just has a weird draw to where he didn't draw a Stellacorn or something. Like I'm not certain what this is supposed to be. I would say I'm medium scared right now. Definitely not big scared. Definitely not little scared. If you told us this was the board, we attacked and did not win the game, I would believe it. Maybe 30% of the time. But so, closer to little scared. Okay, definitely not scared anymore. Just swinging for the fences at this point, right? Gotta find a good hit off the barkeep. All right, that was enough. Let's pull this list up before we talk about ours. I'm very curious to what is actually in this. I don't play these dumb cards, so it's not familiar to me. Celestial Wonders, the Heal Guy, and Cosmic Youngling. Pursuit of Perfections to end the game. Star Shaping, sure. Guiding Touch, okay. Weird. Like, why are these purple cards better than the orange cards, right? These purple cards all just look worse. Or, I mean, than the Ionia cards. Huh. You could play Sett. I mean, maybe that's the thing. Well, he's playing Sarah. So if you're, like, looking at this as a best-of-3 deck, and you want to play, like, Sett Karma, like Karma Sett, Ionia, PNZ, but then you also want to play a Seraphine deck, and so you're playing Seraphine Janna, but you can't play the faction that you want. Like, I don't know. I don't know if this is better than Noxus or something. I don't know. Again, I don't play these filthy cards, but that's something that makes a bit of sense to me, and especially in the days of now with the big OTK decks running around. In this deck, having Celestial Wonder to stop a dragon, having the Hushes from Targonian Tellstones to stop a dragon, maybe that's it. Maybe that's, I don't know. It's not. Those aren't cards that I'm going to be playing, but maybe that's what makes sense. But nonetheless, that does kind of tie into our wrap up here in the sense that we had a fairly successful run at these games, a nice 3-2 section of games to where I feel like if we actually played a bunch of these, I call them bruiser decks. This would be like a combo deck in Magic or something. Then I feel like some of those would have definitely been winnable as well. It's just this style of deck just is kind of typically beyond me in terms of how my brain works. And so from like the collection of broad groupings of decks to where you have aggro decks, love them. Mid-range decks, that's typically where we plant our flag. Like I like to be, I like to play what I call aggro decks with reach, which tends to just be like really attacky mid-rangey style decks. That's what we tend to play most of across the board. And then control decks I get, but they just bore me, so I don't like to play them. Like I don't like these games to where we just make a million little decisions that don't actually matter for 15 minutes at a time, and the game actually ends on turn 6, but we have to play till turn 17 to get the win. Like that stuff just bores me. I just have no desire to play those games. But the kind of like big OTK style deck, the combo deck, if you will, for Magic, where we have the big OTKs from Varus, or if you want to think of something like a Fizz Riven style of deck, these I can like get behind. I think they're fun to play, but I don't have like the reps. I don't have the muscle memory to pick these decks up and really like feel confident that we're going to play the majority of the games right. And take the right paths and play the right cards at the right time. Like I can get my brain wrapped around it if I take this deck and play it 100 times. But to be able to take it and play like 5 or 10 practice games and then get another 5 games in the video, that's a little bit tough for me. And so, I think it has the chance to actually perform. But again, as we kind of like mentioned at the beginning, the thing that I think is probably holding this back is the equipment package, right? I really like the Riven package. I really like the Varus package. I really love the Enraged Fire Spitter. The Kato the Arms even worked out kind of nice in here today. All of these like are like right at the edge of being an extremely, extremely good deck. It's just that you're playing Dark and Ballista and you're playing Ionian Hookmaster. And, I can get behind the Ballista. It's just the Hookmaster. The Hookmaster is the actual problem here, and that you do need to hit an equipment. You need your Momentous Choice to cost 1 mana, your Violent Discord to make 2 copies, the Expanse's Protection to cost 2, the Unending Wave to cost 2. Like, you really need these spells to be cheapened up for your deck to function and be effective. And the means that you have to take to get to that end aren't quite good enough. And so if the Ionian Hookmaster was still a 1/1, that would be off to the races. This deck would be ready to pop. If we had a different equipment that wasn't the Overwhelm Hammers, I think that would also be at the space to where this is quite ready to pop. It just feels like this is like tier 2 right into tier 1.5. It would be like tier 1.75, if you will. Without that like little bit of extra beat on the bone, right? And so, in terms of this list, I think this is pretty close to being good. You can definitely take this up to Masters. Like I feel like if we were in Diamond today, we could hit Masters by the end of the day with this. It's just, if you're trying to look at that upper level of that upper echelon of competitive play, this is not quite there. It's not quite it. But it most certainly strong enough to get you from Diamond to Masters, most certainly strong enough to get you from Silver to Gold, whatever your goal for the season is. This is good enough to do it. And it's a potential contender for best of 3, right? As the best of 3 formats come about. Something like Nora gets really popular, right? Just a big wall of unit style of deck. Things like Nyla Janna get popular, just a wall of unit style of deck. Then having these gigantic overwhelms just blast through the wall of unit kind of strategies do have the chances to be effective. And so it could be something in best of 3. I know that Action Pantheon is currently in kind of the same space to where it doesn't really feel like a valid ladder deck, but it is an exceptionally good best of 3 deck. Kind of the same thing with Echo Jinx, but Echo Jinx isn't the same kind of deck strategy as Riven Varus and Action Pantheon are. And so, I think it has the potential to definitely be a real deck in best of 3, but that, get me to rank 1 on the ladder style of deck, I don't think it quite has it just yet. It's just a little bit undertuned in the equipment space to quite get there. But nonetheless, good set of games. I had fun with that. I hope you did too, because that is going to do it for us today. So hope everyone enjoyed the video. I hope you maybe learned a thing or two along the way. Had a good time watching. This is Bust, and we thank you for being here.